Hello and welcome to the Glen Fuels Football Team of the Year Awards, where I'm delighted to be joined by Billy Dodd, Gerry Forde and Liam Spratt to reveal this year's winners of the 15 positions, plus the Young Player of the Year and the Player of the Year. So without any further ado, we're going to get straight into it and start with the number 1 jersey and the goalkeeping position. And we have 5 nominees for this, lads. The 5 nominees are Dara Brooks, Matt Doyle, Graham Holmes and Craig McCabe and William Doyle. So Liam, we'll give you the floor first. What are your thoughts on those 5?
Yeah, they're all worthy nominees, Peter, and I suppose we reflect on Matt Doyle has played with the county, Dara Brooks has played with the county, Craig McCabe now we know has been brought into the county setup. So it's very, very difficult to decide this one. I think Craig McCabe maybe was a bit of foresight on John Hegarty to put a goalkeeper in the goal that's kind of a sweeper as well as goalkeeper, and his kickouts, he's obviously worked on them. Although strangely enough, to kind of let him down in the county final. But you know, Dara Brooks is outstanding. He drives the ball way past midfield. Matt Doyle is a brilliant shot stopper. William Doyle had an excellent year, and Graham Holmes, you know, he's equally good. It's very hard to pick between the 5 of these, Gerry, isn't it?
It sure is, Liam, and I suppose if we were doing this 20 years ago, all we'd be talking about is the shot stopping ability of the goalkeepers. The goalkeeping job is so much more about being part of the team now, coming off the line. The kickouts are a huge element of that, and all the 5 that we've mentioned here are all excellent in that sphere, you know. So I think it's a tough job.
Billy?
It's a tough job to pick every player on this, but you know, goalkeepers, there's so much responsibilities on a goalkeeper now, and again, these guys really are worthy nominees. And it was very, very, very hard to pick one, but I think we did pick the right man in the end.
And you're going to reveal who it is, Billy.
And the winner of this year's goalkeeper position on the Glen Fuels Player of the Year is Dara Brooks from Castletown.
So congratulations.
Yeah, well done, Dara.
And we'll move on then to the full back line. And we have 13 different nominees here, so a very tricky task to narrow it down to 3 that are going to get the 2, 3 and 4 jerseys. But just to remind you of the nominees: Ross Banville, Jason Barron, Paul Barron, Seamus Carroll, Ross Cody, Mel Doyle, Dylan Furlong, Danny Gardiner, Colin Kavanagh, Alex Kirby, Jamie John Murphy, Andre O'Brien and Owen O'Leary. So this time, Billy, you can give us your thoughts first on that group.
Again, a lot of talented footballers, and it was difficult to pick. We had a lot of young guys and a lot of Andre O'Brien will forgive me for saying he's one of the elder lemons on this one, but he had an excellent year for Shelmon as a cornerback. Such a consistent player. The 2 Barnes from Ramsgrange, excellent players as well. I won't mention my own players, I'll let somebody else talk about them. But again, a good selection of players from a wide range of clubs, and very hard to pick the eventual winners.
And Gerry, what are your thoughts on it first?
Yeah, again, one of the toughest lines on the team. Some fantastic footballers there. Billy Doyle, I mentioned, young and the old. We'd like to Mel Doyle, come back from Australia, been away and had a good year. Alex Kirby, a very good young prospect, and not an easy job for a young player, given a job in marking key players. It's not something everyone likes to do. He did an excellent job, and I suppose in many ways the spiritual leader of the Starships team, and he's obviously a great counterman. Dylan Furlong had a fantastic year. So really, and then the Barnes never put in a bad performance, no matter what their first name is, they never put in a bad performance for the Jimmy. So a lot of fine footballers there, a tough job.
And Liam, your thoughts on the group?
Yeah, I know St Martin's didn't have a great year, but some of their players individually had a good year. And I thought Owen O'Leary was really good for them, another young prospect. Ross Cody, I think he did a great job in the county final on O'Gara. Not just in the county final, he was excellent in the semi-final as well. He's very good at coming out of the fence with the ball. And Ross Banville, of course, is a brilliant ball carrier and distributor of the ball. And probably, the lads will agree with me, he could play on any line of the field, really. It's just the way where John Hegarty placed him, because he has the football skill. And as Gerry mentioned, the 2 Barnes, I mean, how would you decide between Paul and Jason? And they had a great year, St James. You know, they're making a recovery and a comeback, and they made it this year, former county champions. And I thought the 2 of them were really excellent.
And 2 players, I saw Bunclody a good few times this year. I was really, really impressed with Jamie John Murphy. Now,
yeah, he's brilliant.
He was playing sometimes in the half-back line, sometimes in the full-back line, but he was really effective both at defending and getting scores. And Seamus Carroll as well for Crossabeg.
Yeah.
Again, sometimes he was in the half-back line, sometimes he was in the full-back line. Depending on who he was marking, he was moved in on Mark Rossiter one day, think it was in round 2, and did a really effective job. So,
And we mightn't have mentioned Danny Gardiner either. You know, Danny is one of the long-serving. Danny's playing football nearly. I don't know how long he was playing. I couldn't believe it. I think he's only 30, is he, Gerry? But he seems to be in the. He came into that Castletown team, and I would say if you look at the Castletown stats over the years, that Danny Gardiner is probably one of their most consistent players right throughout all those years. And he didn't disappoint this year either. I thought he was brilliant in county final. He got man of the match in the county final, of course.
So it comes time now to reveal the winners of the full back line. And Gerry, you're going to go with the number 2 jersey. Who's getting that?
Yeah, the number 2 jersey, we opted for Dylan Furlong of Sarsfields.
So Dylan Furlong of the Sarsfields. Billy, who's getting the full back jersey?
Full back, man of the match in the county final, Danny Gardiner from Castletown.
And completing the full back line then, Liam, is?
And in the number 4 shirt, after a lot of boxing and knocking heads together, Ross BANVILLE will wear the number 4 shirt on the team of the year.
So congratulations to the half back line, to the full back line, Dylan Furlong, Danny Gardiner and Ross BANVILLE. Right, lads, we have to move on to the half back line then. Numbers 5, 6 and 7. And the nominees, the 13 nominees are Rian Crosby, Ronan DEVEREUX, Conor Devitt, Simon Donohue, Bill Eviston, Garrett Foley, Paddy Hughes, Jack Kelly, Colin Kennedy, Cormac Kiley, Glenn Malone, Owen Porter and Frank Roach. So Gerry, your thoughts first.
Yeah, again, some fantastic footballers in this category in the half-back line. And the one thing that strikes me about this is a lot of these are fantastic dual players for club and for county, like Conor Devitt, Simon Donohue, Garrett Foley, Jack Kelly, all fantastic hurlers as well as footballers. Tough choice, but I think obviously names across the big Ballymoran, I saw them play a number of times, fantastic performances, and Ronan DEVEREUX and Bill Eviston deserve to be nominated. Garrett Foley, again, when does he ever stop running and playing for his club? A fantastic season. And I mentioned before, Jack Kelly rarely plays a bad game for the Starlights, and again he's a fantastic servant to the club. So really a tough choice when it came down to it, because not a lot of good footballers there, and I say we were here a while trying to pick the best 3 there, Peter.
And Liam, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, there's so many good names. Rian Crosby has forced his way into the Wexford setup, the current Wexford setup, and he's one of the Glenbarntown who've excellent footballers. I thought Garrett Foley, reflected what Gerry said, Crossbeg Ballymoran, probably the unlucky club this year in both hurling and football, really. They were outstanding. And Jack Kelly nominated for hurling as well. He was in the nominees for the hurling as well, Peter. So to be nominated for the 2 will give you an idea of the consistency. And ironically, in the same position as well, I think, in the half-back line, he's a guy that can create scores. I think the half-back line is a place now where you have to be able to score, number 1, and you have to be accurate to get the ball inside. I think, that they are one of the great attributes, and Simon Donohue certainly has that attribute because he loves to get forward himself, and he's well capable of scoring when he gets into that position. And Ronan DEVEREUX, if he just commit for Wexford, was brilliant, but I think he's gone away again. I think he comes and goes, but and then Bill Eviston was a really consistent performer this year. I was really impressed with Bill.
Billy?
Again, half-back line, such a pivotal part of any team. All tremendous athletes, which they have to be to play in the half-back line. And I'm just looking, I think there's about 9 different clubs nominated for this. It just shows the competition for places in this. Owen Porter, a regular on the county team, now had a great year for his club, Cushinstown. Cormac Kiley and Glenn Malone hadn't been mentioned either. All good players, all consistent performers. Again, difficult task we had again, picking 3 of the best, but all
and Frank Roach then as well,
Frank
Billy.
Roach,
And Colin Kennedy had a great year as well, hadn't he?
Yeah. So quite a difficult task, but we have to reveal who the winners are. And Billy, you're going to reveal the number 5 jersey.
Number 5, Ronan DEVEREUX from Crossbeg Ballymoran.
Who's getting the centre back position, Gerry?
Colin Kennedy of Castletown, Peter.
And completing the half back line, Liam?
Yeah, to back up the consistency we've been talking about and the skill factor that he has, Simon Donohue will wear the number 7 jersey in the Glen Fuels Football Player, the number 7 Player of the Year.
So Ronan DEVEREUX, Colin Kennedy and Simon Donohue complete the half back line here on this Glen Fuels Team of the Year. And we now move on to the midfielders, of which there are 8 nominees. And the nominees are Ian Carty, Liam Coleman, Colin Fitzgerald, Rory Heffernan, Killian Keogh, Owen Nolan, Matthew O'Hanlon and Joe Sutton. And you give us the the lowdown on these lads firstly in this time?
You'd obviously point the finger at the two Castletown boys that were outstanding, particularly in the county final. You know, when it looked at half time, their second half performance was outstanding, really. They didn't give a ball to Shelmaliers or didn't allow them to get past them either.
Unfortunately.
What?
Unfortunately
For you, Gerry, yeah. But the one consistent player, and he's proved it with Feathered in the run in the Leinster Championship, winning the Leinster title, is Joe Sutton. He really is a player that's blossomed this year. He's consistent, he's on the ball, he never plays poorly. And of course, where we'd leave Matthew O'Hanlon, you know, he just consolidates that view that we all had over the years that he's equally as good a footballer as he is a hurler and could easily put on a Wexford jersey in the morning. If there was the old age of the dual player when you were playing, Billy, when the dual player was able to play, and when Martin Quigley and all those guys were able to play football, and hurling, Matthew would certainly be in the picture for that. And of course, Liam Coe, as I mentioned, the two boys, Ian Carty was outstanding as well. Timon getting to a county final. It was a semi-final. He was brilliant as well. And of course, Owen Nolan Owen is a victim of one day he'll play in midfield and then they move him in, and you know, so he's a victim of maybe his talent and ability. But the player I really liked was outstanding this year was Joe Sutton. Now he might be on the team, but I really like Joe.
And Gerry, your thoughts?
Yeah, listen, another fantastic array of players. But I suppose when I was growing up, Willie Bryan and Mick O'Connell were the great midfielders, and what made them great was their time with jumping. And I think there's no better player at fielding in this county than Matthew O'Hanlon. His timing is fantastic in jumping for that ball. It's a skill in itself. Billy would know from his days.
And his strength, Gerry.
Yeah, but his strength, but also the timing for that jump, and he is fantastic. And Matthew had a fantastic year. You've talked about Owen's versatility. Killing Keogh, another great man serving the Gusran, and again, he keeps the play moving, and he's very good at fielding as well. So listen, a tough job again picking midfield, but there are some great footballers there.
Yeah, the lads have named all the players. You know, it's just the athletic ability that a midfielder has to have now is shown in the players that are chosen. We've 7 clubs represented in the 8 players that are nominated. Fantastic athletes up and down the field. Midfield is not a place anymore where you just stand and catch the ball and kick it in. You just have to be up and down the field. You have to have all the skills, and these guys have all the skills. And you know, a great array of players there. Very difficult to pick.
So on the basis of the 2022 championship, who we given the number 8 jersey to, Billy?
The number 8 jersey, I thought he did an outstanding year for Castletown, Liam Coleman.
So Liam Coleman is one midfielder, and Gerry, the second midfielder, is going to join him.
Yeah, the second midfielder is the long-serving Matthew O'Hanlon.
So congratulations to both Liam Coleman and Matthew O'Hanlon, who complete the midfield partnership on the Glen Fuels Football Team of the Year. So the next line then, lads, is the half-forward line, and I think, to be fair, from the nominees, I know a lot of the different lines have been difficult, but I think this is really sort of a packed area to field in terms of talent, and there are going to be some lads probably left off this that will be sort of feeling a little bit aggrieved that they didn't make it. But we have 13 nominees, and they are Robbie Brooks, Conor Carty, Conor Hearne, Jack Higgins, Michael Mackey, Liam McGovern, Justin Moran, Arnie Murphy, Declan Murphy, Kevin O'Grady, Aidan Rochford, Alan Tobin and John Tubbert. So, Gerry, you're going to pick your way through those as best you can, first of all.
You gave it a short straw there, Peter.
You'd nearly pick a full team of that, Gerry, wouldn't you? Add a goalkeeper, because those fellas can play anywhere.
Yeah, well, certainly St Anne's good run this year is reflected in those 3 players nominated. What more can we say about Liam McGovern? Justin Moore, a young lad, had a great year. And then Aidan Rushford, when Aidan starts motoring down through the middle, he's a very hard man to stop, and I think he's learned from the jink and runs of Liam Mug over the years. John Tubbert, again, part of Feathered's great year. And then Robbie Brooks, again, for Castletown, instrumental in their county's success. And very little we can say more about Conor Carty, a fantastic servant of the club, but he gets so much possession, he handles the ball so many times in a game. He's a key element of that whole, and again he had the honour of being captain this year, and a great honour to Conor, because he's given long service to the club.
And Billy, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, again, some excellent players, a lot of versatile players here who might have been picked at half hour during the games and ended up in different parts of the field. And again, half forward is not a position now that you just play in one section of the field. You could end up corner back, corner forward.
And isn't that sort of symptomatic of the way the game has gone.
Exactly.
That when we're picking these nominations, you could say, he didn't play much in this position, or he didn't play
Yeah.
much. But because players are so all over the place,
Exactly,
it's quite difficult at sometimes to decide.
It is, and we've the best of them here, so
Yeah.
it's very difficult. But again, the players that Gerry has mentioned, along with the younger one, young Mick Mackey this year for Glen Barntown, Decky Murphy, outstanding as always. He's a great servant to Horswood. He's such a superb player. Alan Tobin and Kevin O'Grady, of course, another. He's in the veteran stage. He won't like me saying it at this stage, but he is. But he had probably one of the best years he's had in a long time with the county team. Played very well for his club. So again, difficult choices, but excellent players. Great. And I think the committee did an excellent job in picking the players that are actually nominated.
Liam?
Yeah, I like Arnie Murphy as well. He's a very, he's a very solid team player. He's actually a real team player. I know not to say that the rest of the lads nominated, but he's the real team player. He's the workhorse. Aidan Rashford's a bit the same for St. Anne's, isn't he, Gerry? So they're kind of two workers. As Billy said, Declan Murphy was outstanding for Horswood and proved he was an outstanding hurler as well in the way he led them in the Leinster Championship. I love Conor Hearne because he just runs all day. That's what as Billy said, that's what you have to be prepared to do now in playing hurling and football, but particularly football, you have to be prepared to run all day. And he had an excellent year. And young Jack Higgins certainly one for the future. I know he's in the under-20 panel. I don't think he's going to get involved with the seniors until the under-20 championship is finished. So he's obviously in college as well. That's the real challenge for those young fellas. So he's certainly one for the future. And if you roll back the years, Liam McGovern, who we could call a veteran at this stage, now proved again how talented a footballer he is. Again, he started off his career as a footballer and transferred to the senior hurlers.
A lot of people forget he played in the last Leinster final. I think he was brought in as a sub as the last Leinster final that Wexford played.
So that gives an indication of his versatility. And of course, Conor Hearne is currently in the senior hurling panel, but that's the way we are in Wexford. Alan Tobin struggled a little bit with injury this year, but when he played, he had a serious effect on the game. Starlights were a little bit unlucky, and of course, John Tubbert was carrying injury at the start of the season, and really only started to come at the right time for Feathered into the quarter-final, semi-final, and always a threat. And I'm sure he's one that John Hegarty will be looking at as to give that little bit of punch to the forwards, which they're missing at the moment.
Yeah. So we have our 13 nominees. Liam, who's getting the number 10 jersey?
The number 10 jersey is going to Jack Higgins, a bright young prospect that we've all mentioned, and look forward to seeing him for many years in a Wexford jersey. And his scoring ability. I remember scored one brilliant point, I think, in the county final from out on the left. He's a marvellous talent. And
centre forward, Gerry?
Robbie Books at Castledown, Peter.
And Billy?
Conor Hearne, Shelmillers, number 12.
Yeah.
So the half forward line then is at number 10 we have Jack Higgins, number 11 Robbie Brooks, and number 12 Conor Hearne. Congratulations to all the winners of the half forward line on the Glen Fuels Team of the Year. And now we move on to the full forward line, and another 3 difficult ones to pick. The 13 nominations are PJ Banville, Andy Butler, Cian Byrne, Jason Dunn, Donica Holmes, Sean Kelly, Brian Malone, Jamie Myler, Aidan Nolan, Owen O'Gara, Stephen O'Gorman, Mark Rossiter and Sam Wall. So, Billy, you spent a lot of time in the full forward line in your day, so we'll give you the first assessment of these lads.
And thank God it's not the modern day game where I had to run back all the time. But looking at this line, actually, this line is, you could call it nominees of genuine corner forwards who held that position for the year. They weren't a third midfielder, or they weren't a sweeper. They are guys who played in the full forward line for most of the games. Some great players, some again mixture of old and young. PJ Banville, outstanding year. Young Cian Byrne, brilliant year for Feathered. Donica Holmes, Sean Kelly, Brian Malone, Owen O'Gara. All older players, but were very prominent for their teams this year. Hard to pick because they're all high scoring as well. So interesting to see who the 3 winners are.
Gerry?
Yeah, again, Billy's covered a good few of the players there, but again, all of them, what's important is their high scoring rate. Andy Butler, great contribution across the big Ballymoor on the scoreboard. PJ Banville the same. Donica Holmes probably helped Castledown when they most needed him during the year. And Sean Kelly, with that fantastic left foot he had, scored some great long range points. Aidan Nolan wouldn't be a natural full forward for Buntody, but when he goes in there, he's lethal. So again, another fine line. Of course, Sam Wall, for again, another good year for Custrad. So a lot of fine players in that line.
Liam?
Yeah, I suppose it's reflected as well in the experience of two of the players in there, in particular PJ BANVILLE and Brian Malone. Brian, again, is a player that you could play anywhere. I'd say you probably could play him at the goal, but he shows his versatility. And then Owen O'Gara created a bit of a sensation when there was a great buzz the evening that he made his debut. And whilst the mileage is on the legs, he still proved that he's a handful and made a major contribution to Shelmaliers getting to the county final. Sam Wall, again, he's such a consistent player, Sam, for East Lough, for Gusserani. He's such a consistent player. And one player that I really like is Andy Butler. I remember the first game in the championship, he was brilliant. He was a buzz, and I think he scored a goal. He might have scored a penalty in the first game as well. He was just a buzz. And Stephen O'Gorman, of course, is another young prospect. And the one player that I only saw him twice, Jason Dunn, really caught my eye. I think he's a marvellous young talent as well.
You mentioned Andy Butler there. I think there's never been a club, I think, in senior, in both hurling and football, that were as unlucky this year not to qualify in one of them anyway. You know, I think they got 4 points in their hurling group and missed out on score difference. And sure, that football group was bizarre, Gerry, wasn't it? Really, the way it worked out.
They got 5 points in that, and thinking still lost out, didn't they, Gerry?
Yeah.
So anyway, it's time to reveal the final 3 spots on the team, and we'll get the number 13 winner from you, Billy.
Number 13, corner forward, in great form for the county again already in the season, only starting, Mark Rossiter in Gusserani. And
the full forward, Gerry?
What more can be said about Brian Malone, number 14.
And completing the team this year, Liam, is?
And Cian Byrne is wearing the number 15 shirt. He's fantastic. He's a great prospect, but he's also on the senior hurling squad, so John Hegarty will be probably crying every morning when he's eating his breakfast.
So that completes the full forward line. Mark Rossiter at 13, Brian Malone at 14, and Cian Byrne of Feathert at 15. So just to run quickly down through the winners of the 15 positions on the Glen Fuels Football Team of the Year. In goal, Dara Brooks of Castletown. Cornerback number 2, Dylan Furlong, Sarsfields. Fullback, Danny Gardiner, Castletown. The other cornerback is Ross Banville of the Shelmaliers. The half-back line is Ronan DEVEREUX of Crossabeg, Ballymurn. Centre-back is Colin Kennedy of Castletown. And 7 is Simon Donohue of the Shelmaliers. The midfield partnership is Liam Coleman of Castletown and Matthew O'Hanlon of St James. The half-forward line is at number 10, Jack Higgins of Castletown, and his teammate at number 11 is Robbie Brooks. And number 12 is Conor Hearne of the Shelmaliers, and the full forward line is Mark Rossiter of Gusserani, Brian Malone of the Shelmaliers, and Cian Byrne of Feathert St Mogue. So a big congratulations from all of us here on Wexford GATV to all of the winners on the team. And I think it's fair to say, lads, that there were plenty of very strong contenders overall that were unlucky to miss out, and probably there'll be plenty of debate as to who we should have had and all the rest of it. But
we could pick 4 more teams out of and not have the same players on them. You know, so.
Championship gave us great enjoyment, Peter.
Yeah, it's very close and competitive at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was just thinking how much John Hegarty would love to have Matthew O'Hanlon and Liam Coleman starting in midfield every day.
Well, he might have Liam Coleman, all right. Congratulations to him for being made the captain as well, of course, the Wexford senior footballer. So that completes the Glen Fuels Football Team of the Year for the 2022 Club Championship.